Hey all, back with some information about my summer and fall plans. I'm going to be riding my mountain bike on this route called the Great Divide Mountain Bike Route, which, as you can see here, the little green line goes from Canada across the United States and to the border of Mexico. So it's called the Great Divide Mountain Bike Route because it basically follows along the Continental Divide, kind of crisscrossing all the way across most of North America here, I guess. It's a 3,100-mile route approximately, and climbs something like a couple 100,000 feet over the whole thing. It's mostly off-road. I think it's billed as the world's longest off-pavement route, and it's basically two-thirds dirt, so forest roads and things like that, some single track, and then about 950 miles of pavement. So that's kind of the short of it. We can kind of go into a little more details about it. As you can see here, it was developed by the Adventure Cycling Association. It was mapped by them. It's a pretty cool organization. They have, people that go out and ride the routes to develop them, and then a whole set of cartographers to make maps and digital cartography, creating GPS files and all kinds of stuff. So that's the organization. This route was originally developed by them, I think, in like 1997 or something like that. I first heard about it maybe 20 years ago, something like that. The reason it kind of appeals to me is that I really like riding off-road, and it is definitely off-road, over 2,000 miles of dirt. So really looks like a cool thing to do. So let's go kind of back into some of the details about it here. As you can see, it starts up here in Canada. It basically crosses two or parts of two provinces, Alberta, as you can see here, and then it gets briefly into British Columbia, kind of towards the south end of it here. Let's see. Starts up here in the city of Jasper, which is a really cool town if you've ever been, and then kind of curls up around here and then goes pretty close to Calgary here, and then through Banff, and then down through into briefly again into British Columbia, and then finally into the United States, right? Going into Montana, briefly into Idaho, Wyoming, Colorado, and finally into New Mexico, ending at the border. So the original end of the trip was here in a little tiny town called Antelope Wells. Basically, there's nothing out there, as you can see, except for the border crossing. Not too long ago, I'm not exactly sure when, they added an alternate end here in a town called Columbus, which is actually a town. And you can see here's a little more in the way of infrastructure. So the town up here is actually hotels and restaurants and things like that. And then the official route kind of ends here at the Customs and Border Patrol station at the border with Mexico. So you ride to the gate there and cross into Mexico if I so desire. I don't think I'm actually going to do that. I'm really feeling like at this time, really, with everything going on, I don't really want to cross any more borders than I have to right now, because it just seems like it could have delays and other problems, so I don't really want to deal with that. But in any event, let's see, what else can I talk about here? I guess, as you can see here, the green line is the main route. The little blue lines that I have marked here are what they call alternates. Alternates can be for a number of reasons. Sometimes they're just trying to avoid sections that don't have any services, or I guess there can be other reasons, and maybe it's more scenic, things like that. This particular one here in Canada kind of runs along the highway to avoid some of these sections. There's like a 75-mile section here between him and Rob, I think, that don't really have much in the way of services in terms of stores and things like that. So that's why this particular alternate exists. I don't know that I'm going to take very many of these, unless there could be conditions like wildfires or something like that could force me into some of these things. But if possible, I think I'll mostly stick to dirt routes. There's some other ones, I think in like New Mexico, there's one called a Chaco alternate that goes through some pretty cool historical sites, Native American sites, so things like that. But yeah, in general, I'm probably not going to be taking too many of these things, I don't think. Although, as I mentioned before, when I get down into Mexico, I think I will take this alternate that goes into Columbus, just because the distance is pretty much the same as the original route, but again, down here in Antelope Walls, there's basically nothing. So I'd have like a 40 or 50 mile route down there from the nearest town, which is Hachida, and then I'd have to ride back pretty much. So that doesn't sound very appealing. So if I go into Columbus, get towns and things like that, and my understanding's about a day's ride away from El Paso, which is probably where I'll kind of end up. I think El Paso is somewhere over here, and then there I can catch an Amtrak or rent a car, or any number of other ways as an airport to get back home. So I think that's kind of the details about the route. I think some people have asked me where I'm going to stay along this thing, because mostly on dirt. And one of the things that allows me to figure out where to go, things like that, this set of maps that I bought from the Adventure Cycling Association, they have these details services files. And so what we can see here is when I overlay these on the route map, you can see there's a bunch of little things here with various kinds of information. This is a bridge, that's not terribly exciting. But if we go kind of over here into Hinton, I think we can kind of see a little bit more stuff. Okay, so there's a bike shop, hotels, camping along the route. So I can use this to provide some routing details of things that I want to go to. If I need to go to, find a store or something like that for groceries, hotel, campsites, all that kind of stuff is here. I also bought a set of paper maps that kind of go along with these digital maps. The digital maps I can use on my GPS device on my bike. I will kind of talk about how I'm actually going to route this on my bike, maybe in another video. But this is the basics of it. I think that's probably about all I wanted to cover. So I'll see you in the next one. All right, thanks.